Fellas, what was that? I know it's only been a couple of days since the World Cup qualifier, but we had a 3-0 lead just before half-time. I know the war elephant sounds scary, but can't draw games like that. And now, look, Andrew's calling me. You guys, take a long, hard think. Might be no more friendlies after World Cup qualifiers. No, might be serious. And I've got to take this. Andrew, look, I'm sorry.
Shaun, what just happened?
Yeah, I know it was a bad judgment call by me, but honestly, when I took them off at halftime in the World Cup qualifier, I thought they could handle this game as well.
Clearly not. I know you're in charge of friendlies now, but maybe don't have one after a World Cup qualifier.
Don't worry, I'm seriously considering no more friendlies around World Cup qualifying.
But World Cup qualifying needs to be the main focus.
It's 100% the priority.
Especially after our drop down the rankings.
What do you mean we dropped down the rankings? We didn't even lose.
We drew against someone below us.
But we beat PNG 9-0. How have we dropped down the rankings after drawing with Thailand? They're not that bad.
We've gone from 89th to 93rd.
Oh, seriously, 93rd?
93rd.
Unbelievable. Yeah, okay, no more friendlies around this World Cup qualifying.
Good.
Yep, don't worry. That was my bad, Andrew, my bad. Don't worry, I'll make sure we get to the World Cup and we can build up our ranking in between now and then.
You better.
Don't worry, I'm still your man. You've got me for life, mate. That's still a thing.
We'll see.
Okay.
Bye.
Yeah, sorry, Andrew. My bad. Yeah. Bye.
There's a party in the streets and the city's on fire.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 16 of the New Zealand Builder Nation here on Shaun Does FM with both the All Whites and with AFC Auckland. I hope you're doing well, and coming up today we play two of the bigger teams in the top division of Australia. First up, we take on the Melbourne Victory, second versus fourth, away from home at Amy Park. And off the back of that, we take on an Adelaide United team who, to be fair, have been a bit average so far in this save, especially this year, now that they no longer have someone like Nestori Irankunda. So looking forward to that coming up in today's episode, as well as a recap of the most recent international window where we did play our first World Cup qualifier. Then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. Also, apologies missing the last couple of days of videos, as you might be able to tell. A little bit of a dodgy voice coming back from holiday at the end of last week. Just wanted to make sure I gave myself up until the most recent public holiday to try and get that sorted out. But back into action today, and we haven't moved too far forward from the episode at the end of last week. If you missed that one where we took on the Newcastle Jets and Sydney FC, I'll leave a link to that one over in the top right corner. Since then, first up, actually played two internationals with the All Whites. First up, it was our World Cup qualifying opener where we did take on Papua New Guinea, and thankfully this one went extremely to plan. We battered these guys with quite close to a full strength limit, at least in terms of the first part of this game. A 9-0 win. It was 7-0 by halftime there over at the Stade Olympique in Papeete. Obviously, it was a really good first half for us there. Elijah just picked up one goal. Brian Thomas with a double. Even Libby Katjay got on the score sheet, and Chris Wood with two before halftime, as well as Sarpreet Singh. Second half goals to Singh from the penalty spot and Nico Kerwin. And we pick up a very easy 9-0 win, made all the better by the fact that another game actually took place in this group when we took on the War Elephants from Thailand. And you can see Papua New Guinea, they beat Tahiti by a scoreline of 2-1, albeit Tahiti did pick up a bunch of injuries in that second half, but still, that's quite encouraging. Should be cruising our way through this group, and of course, this is the group that contains the semi-finalists and finalists from that AFC Nations Cup that we did win a little while ago at the start of the second season of this save. So this should be a group that we can top, and we should be very hard to beat and make our way through to hopefully the World Cup at our first time of asking here with the All Whites. So a good start in terms of World Cup qualification, albeit being New Zealand and Oceania, that is expected. But a few days off the back of that Papua New Guinea game, the same day that this one took place when they beat Tahiti, a bit of a tougher task as we took on the War Elephants of Thailand. And despite the fact that we had to rotate quite a bit for this game off the back of that PNG one, we still got off to a good start in this game with our gegenpress. Callum McCow at the, I think that was our first shot of the game. He puts home in that bottom right corner just inside that far post to give us a 1-0 lead. And only a few minutes later, nice ball through the for Matty Garbett, squares that one kind of for Chris Wood there. Honestly, not the best pass, but Wood puts it away, makes it 2-0. And then just before halftime, thought we'd wrap this game up. Some nice short passing there, edge of the box, Matty Garbutt far post, picks up yet another goal to make it 3-0. But a bit of a turning point here, just before half-time, the War Elephants in the blue. A Kanat Panya there does get a header off, it does Pete Paulson, so 3-1 at half-time. Then in the second half, we came out of the sheds very slowly. Mickelson squares that one, Paulson tries to punch it away, but Jaded puts it home to make it 3-2. And then, on the counter-attack here, for some reason, we've got no defenders back. Mwanta is able to put that one past Paulson, and just past the hour mark, we'd gone from 3-0 up to locked up at 3-all. Thankfully, just off the back of that though, we went a bit more attacking. Nico Kerwin floats that one into the mixer. Garbutt heads it down for Callum McCowart, bumps that one through the hands of Lecampol, makes it 4-3. But then the Engraver's Nightmare from Reading, he gave away a penalty at the 72-minute mark, and they put it away. Did the War Elephants, that's our first non-win here with the All Whites for quite a long time, a 4-all draw at Thailand. That probably suggests I shouldn't be playing friendlies off the back of these World Cup qualifiers. Of course, Thailand ranked just below us on the rankings going into that game. That is still the case, but not quite by as much, because unfortunately, if we go now and have a look at the nation, we dropped down a couple of ranking spots off the back of that draw with Thailand, despite the fact prior to that, we did beat PNG 9-0, so it does feel a little bit harsh. We have gone down from 89th in the world to 93rd, so unfortunately no longer inside of that top 90 with the all-white squad. And to be fair, that could keep happening while we do take part in these AFC World Cup qualifiers. But to be fair, based on that Thailand performance, might just stick to those for a little while and get back into the friendlies that hopefully we can win off the back of getting through our group safely in those World Cup qualifiers. So a bit of mixed news there with the national team off the back of the end of last week, that draw of Thailand hurting our world rankings. But going over to AFC Auckland, we just played one more game off the back of the end of last week. This one I played just before coming back for today's episode, my first game of FM in quite a while off the back of that holiday, where I've picked up a little bit of a bug, as you can tell. But we took on Macarthur away from home. Honestly, this game wasn't up to too much, but thankfully did actually find a way to win this one. As you can see, stats-wise, definitely the better team, but it took until the 87-minute mark for Cullen Elliott to pick up a goal, and thankfully got the job done also. Stefan Malk, as you can see there, he picked up an injury on the 65-minute mark, and that's quite a serious one. We'll get into that off the back of showing you guys this goal, but a free kick here late. Ahataran, Mitchell heads it down for Elliott, and he beats Robinson there. They checked that one for offside, thankfully. He was just on, and we pick up a 1-0 win. I do think it was deserved, but certainly left it late there to pick up the 3 points at Macarthur FC, so it does mean that we are still in second on the A-League table these days, only 1 point behind the Central Coast Mariners, and our goal differential as well, quite a bit healthier than theirs. So maybe if we can pick up some good results during the course of today's episode, we could go on top of the A-League, above our bogey team so far in this save, and the back-to-back defending champions. That's a recap of what's happened off the back of the end of last week. But of course, as you saw, that Stefan Malk injury that we did pick up, I did say it was a bit serious, a twisted ankle. He's out for 11 days to 4 weeks, so Stefan Malk will not feature in today's episode. It does mean a bit of a shuffle up in terms of our attacking options going into these two games that we are about to play. And to be fair, when we lost Stefan Malk last season, I think that's when our form was probably the worst it's been so far in the save, which to be fair, it hasn't lasted long. Hopefully that won't happen again. We can get through it, especially because coming in his place, it won't be Bruce Azumi. We're going to switch Mohamed Ahataran to the central attacking midfielder. He should be quite suited to that, and also it does mean he will hopefully get those minutes that he's currently concerned about with work permits and not being able to renew his contract here. Maybe we can find a way by playing him enough to try and get him to stay here, albeit the transfer window is about to open. We might need to try and let him go when we do get towards the end of January, which will probably be when we come back for tomorrow's episode. But Ahataran as the cam, it does mean Azumi on the bench as the backup, but thankfully that's our only injury concern going into today's episode. First up, we take on the Melbourne Victory. These guys kind of hot on our heels in fourth, albeit they are 7 points behind us, and coming to this one in a decent patch of form. 3 wins from their last 5, 2 draws, 1 against Newcastle and 1 against Sydney FC. To be fair, 2 teams that we did beat at the end of last week. Probably more interestingly since the last time we took them on. These days, they are managed by the former Australian manager in Graham Arnold. So that is something that could make things interesting for this one. Of course, last season, the Victory were managed by Tony Popovich, so we'll see how we get on against Arnie's Army here at Amy Park in Melbourne. Hopefully, we can pick up a win and maybe go top of the A-League off the back of this clash with the Victory. And here are the team sheets for this first game of today's episode from Amy Park. The other Victory going with the 4-2-3-1, I believe, with Graham Arnold. It was wing play in some decent form, but we're in some very good form. 5 wins from our last 5, and as I said, just that one change, Ihataran coming in for the injured Stefan Malk in that central attacking midfield role. Tricky task away from home, but hopefully we can briefly go top of the league. And just past the half-hour mark, we get the first highlight of this game. Now, I've already noticed I forgot to do something here off the back of holiday. Should have changed our away kit to our home kit, because for this game, a little bit of a colour clash. We're in the black, the Victory in the dark blue. We're the team currently who are on the attack. Hopefully you guys can notice the difference, but certainly need to remember that in future. But there, someone got brought down the edge of the box. The Bungo recovers the ball, and thankfully a Tamer then keeps it for us off a tackle. Callum Elliott, tight angle, plays that one far post for Tormeen. To be fair, not too sure if that was a shot or a pass, because the goalkeeper might have got a touch on that one, but apparently it's an assist to Callum Elliott, and we grab a nice early 1-0 lead here. I say early at the half-hour mark, but still first highlight of the game. But Elliott just gets in behind his man there down that right-hand side, and a really nice ball there to Tormeen at the far post, and thankfully first highlight, and we take a 1-0 lead, albeit as I'm trying to wrap that up, there is now a corner here to the Victory as Central Coast. They go 1-0 in front. Good chance there, far post for Chapman, but Paulson makes the first save. The second one goes off the side netting, and we hold on to our 1-0 lead. And that was it for the first half. Just those 2 highlights around the half-hour mark. Thankfully, the chance we had, we took wonderfully set up by Callum Elliott, and Tormeen puts it away off the back of that, the Victory. Good chance from a corner, but thankfully, Alex Paulson with a good save. And to be fair, pretty happy with everyone's rating out there for the moment, so no changes needed at halftime. We'll try and build on this 1-0 lead. And only a couple of minutes into the second half, it's another corner here for the Victory. They went quite close from one of these in the first half off the back of our opener. That one falls to Nishan Vilupale, and he rockets that one bottom right corner. Unfortunately, couldn't quite deal with the danger off the back of trying to clear that one, and the corners looking quite threatening here for the Victory today at Amy Park. And it's blocked back up at 1-1, only a couple of minutes into this half. That is a thunderbolt, that one from Vilupale to make it 1-1. And just about to make our way up to the hour mark now, and it might be time for our first sub here. Ihataran on a 6.4, but also Gweveen Tormeen. Looks like he's struggling out there, just having picked up an orange injury. So because of that, we'll put Ihataran on a 6.4 out to left wing. Bruce Azumi can come on in the camera. We'll see if Ihataran can improve in a slightly more familiar position, albeit also Ronald struggling on a 6.4 as well. So a couple of our attackers not doing too well today, but hopefully those changes can help us regain our lead as it's locked up at 1-1. And only a few minutes off the back of that sub of Tormeen, now a ball there gets floated into the mixer, and there's a penalty. Not too sure whose hand that hit. Might be Nunez. He's arguing that one with the referee, but I dare say this one will be given. They don't get overturned too often, and unfortunately that is the case. Still not too sure who that was with the handball. I'm guessing Nunez off the back of his reaction, but a chance here for Brimmer to put one past Paulson. Chips it down the middle. Alex Paulson goes right. He's so much better at saving penalties in real life, but nonetheless not so good in this year's game. And Jake Brimmer makes him look silly, and we've blown a 1-0 lead at halftime to go 2-1 down. Brimmer, that's a very confident penalty. He's made our New Zealand international look pretty stupid there. We've gone 2-1 down, and off the back of that, going to make a few more substitutions and players out there really struggling. We'll take off Ronaldo for Sinclair, and also the Jello shot for Gianni Bazookas, and hopefully they can help us fight back and grab something from this game. And just making our way into the last 20 minutes of this game, I think it's now time for us here to make our last couple of subs to hopefully grab something out of this game. A couple of players at the back are struggling. Ihataran still is, but unfortunately not many attacking options on the bench. So we're going to take off here Nunez on a 6.4, I dare say, off the back of giving away that penalty. Victor Loss can come on for him, and also Nathan Lobo we might bring on in place of Debungo, who's just struggling a bit on a 6.5. So I think those will be our last couple of subs to hopefully try and get something out of this game, and also might be time for us go a bit wider as well and chuck our DM onto support to hopefully grab an equaliser. And unfortunately, those changes so far haven't done too much as we make our way into the last 10 minutes of this game, so it's now time for us to go full out attack. We're going to chuck our wing backs as well onto attack as well as change that mentality as we're still 2-1 behind. And now into the last 5 minutes of this game, Mohamed Hataren at left wings have been an absolute shocker, but as I said, having taken off Tormin on that orange injury, had to leave him on. We now go to a higher tempo late on, albeit off the back of that. It's a free kick to Brimmer, and that one nearly beats Paulson, comes off that top right corner post. Thankfully, does stay out, but the Victory have certainly turned this one around in the second half now inside the last minute of added time. And unfortunately, that is only our third defeat of the season at the moment, just struggling against these teams in and around us on the league table. So that will mean that we will stay in second despite that result, but unfortunately miss out on a chance to potentially go on top of the A-League, or at least keep that gap nice and close with the Central Coast Mariners. But that was a pretty poor second half off the back of that first half goal to Guveen Tormin, set up nicely by Callan Elliott off the back of halftime. They scored for a corner, which to be fair, they did threaten to do in the first half, but then we give away a penalty. Jake Brimmer, with a very cheeky one, does put that one away past Alex Paulson, and that was the difference maker. We suffer a 2-1 defeat. We'll just go forward and see what that does to the table. Also, we'll keep an eye out on that Tormin injury before we come back for the Adelaide United game. Hopefully, seeing as it was an orange one, it won't be too serious. But I do think we're going to stay in second spot because our points gap was enough. Indeed, it was. But unfortunately, the Central Coast win over Western United, so now we're 4 points behind them, but still 4 points clear of Melbourne. Hopefully we can bounce back in our second game of today's episode back at Mount Smart when we take on Adelaide United. And we are back about to play the second game of today's episode against Adelaide United. Hopefully a good chance for us here to bounce back from that 2-1 defeat at the Melbourne Victory. Thankfully, Guveen Tormin is fit for this one, albeit isn't quite on a full green heart, so I think it does mean he's going to have to be on the bench for this one. So that's one player who will be missing alongside Stefan Mount. But one other injury that we have suffered in training off the back of that first game of today's episode, the injury gods not on my side since I've come back from holiday. Stefan Negra, backup right back, who can also cover left back and defensive midfield. He's going to be gone for most of the rest of the season. A torn calf muscle. He's out for 3 to 4 months. The injury gods not on our side here currently at AFC Auckland. It does mean we've called up from our under-19s Christian Milicic. He makes his way onto the bench. Not that good a player, but to be fair, we need someone who can cover right back without Negro. So Milicic will get some game time while that is the case. And to be fair, that could help him reach that potential, even though it's not that high. Hopefully, might get a better right back in our upcoming youth intake, which hopefully we can bring to you guys in tomorrow's episode. But a couple of players missing for the second game of today's episode, but hopefully with this one being at home, it is a game we can win against the team who so far have been pretty poor in this save in Adelaide United. In this save, they do still have Joe Gauchi, of course, these days in real life. He's off to Aston Villa, a player who, if New Zealand got onto it a bit sooner, could have been an all-white. He's an interesting player in the save, albeit would have been a bit more interesting if we did the save on FM23 before he did pick up that sole Australian cap. But certainly he's played quite well against us when we've taken on Adelaide United in the past in the save. But apart from that, Adelaide United haven't been that great so far in the save that we've been doing. So hopefully at home, this is a good chance for us here to pick up on, especially as this year they are without Nestor Irankunda, their star youngster who made his way to Bayern Munich. Now we are in the 2024-25 season. We'll come back shortly and hopefully get back on track and beat Adelaide United. And here are the team sheets for the second game of today's episode. There we are, a couple of changes. Zumi comes in the cam role because Hataren goes out left with Tormin not quite on a full green hair. And also, as I said, Milicic as the right back backup instead of Negro. Adelaide United, they are also going with a 4-2-3-1, just like Melbourne Victory, who beat us before. But these guys are a lot further down the table. Hopefully 3 points at home, we can hold on to second spot. And an early highlight in this game with only 5 minutes gone, but unfortunately might be in favour here of Adelaide United as they do have a free kick. But thankfully Callan Elliott can reach that ball before Carvalho, albeit we're passing across the face of goal there, but thankfully do keep hold of the ball for now. Now Nunez, who of course gave away that penalty, in that previous game. At least that's what it looked like from when I was doing this recording. But he was on the ball, but we start to make our way forward now. Azumi, nice one out there to Ronaldo, who, to be fair, recent form has been that great, but this time looks like he's on the attack. The Adelaide United defence make an absolute hish of that one, though, and the Jello shot will put it away. That's an absolute gift of a goal. Have to see what happened there, because there was a big old block on a clearance between some of the Adelaide United players. Ronaldo fizzes that one into the mix of Popovic, tries to clear it, but Ansel gets right in the way, and Jello, right place, right time, can bundle that one home. Absolute gift to give us a 1-0 lead. And now forward to the 20-minute mark, and yet again we might be on the attack here with a thrown inside of the final third. Debungo now makes his way just inside the box, far post there for Ronaldo, who will put that one home. Gauchi just lets that one go past him inside that near post, but the referee puts his flag up there, the assistant, on this near side, so he might be offside. That might save a blush there from Joe Gauchi. Indeed, that is the case. The goal does get disallowed, but early stages looking quite threatening in this one. We'll just see how close this one was. Ronaldo must just be a toe offside there. Very close call, but he was off, and we still have a 1-0 lead. And very shortly back of that disallowed goal, another throw in here, this time on the other side. Ronaldo starts to cut inside before playing that one back to Callan Elliott. Tamer doing a decent job in that DM role, one of the more promising players in our squad here at AFC Auckland. We eventually get that one back out to Debungo, who almost picked up an assist before. This time, good chance for Hitaran. Unfortunately, that one straight at Gauchi, and we're still only 1-0 up. And just making our way into injury time here in the first half. Not much has happened off the back of that 25-minute mark, but to be fair, all highlights so far have been in our favour. It does look like we're slightly on the front foot. Adelaide are getting chances, but thankfully not too many on target. We're going to half-time with a 1-0 lead. Hopefully can build on it and make sure we pick up all 3 points from this game. We're going to make a couple of changes here, though, at half-time. Hitaran yet again struggling, so because of that, we'll put Ronaldo out to left wing, and Jack Henry Sinclair can get some game time out on the right-hand side. And also Debungo playing well, but on a yellow card will bring on Nathan Lobo, and hopefully make sure we can kick on and pick up all 3 points, and this time hold on to our 1-0 lead. Now it's taken a little while for the first highlight of the second half, about 20 minutes in, and it's a throw in here to Adelaide United. They try and float that one over the top. Thankfully, Nunez can tidy things up. Now Lobo off the bench plays that forward to Ronaldo these days on the left-hand side for the second half. Pings that one out nicely to Sinclair on the other flank. Now Elliott back forward to Sinclair. He squares it nicely for this yellow shot, who will pick up a double. Some good bench impact there from Jack Henry Sinclair, and also Ronaldo on the left-hand side. Really good job there to switch that ball out to this flank Sinclair. That's a really good first touch from him. A tamer forward to Elliott. Cavallo there, it does look like they're trying to blame for that goal with that interception, but thankfully we make the most of it, and it's now 2-0, 20 minutes into the second half. And in fact, very short back of that goal, which we did grab back. Now we're down the other end here for a throw-in to Adelaide United. Paulson comes out, punches that one clear, and to be fair, quite a good punch as well, as we get it to Sinclair and can now do something on the counter-attack. Ronaldo down this left-hand side plays that one in for Pascali, picks out his midfield partner in a tamer Sinclair. From just outside the box, that's a rocket past Gauchi to make it 3-0. Jack Henry Sinclair might not be done here yet at AFC Auckland, especially if we need to get rid of Mohamed Hitaran before he goes on a free. Some great bench impact from him on the right-hand side today. This one just outside the box, but a rocket. Gauchi tries to stop it, can't quite keep it out. It's a quick fire double as we make it 3-0. And just about to make our way into the last 15 minutes of this game. Now we're going to bring some players on to make sure they get ratings. We'll take off Azumi on a 6.5 for Louis Toomey, a player not quite as good in that cam role, but we do want to try and give him some game time, so hopefully he can reach his these days 4-star potential. Also, Nick Sullivan for Tawa Tamer, as he's sitting on a yellow card suspension, and also give some game time to our youngster Christian Milicic at right back. Now we're holding a pretty comfortable 3-0 lead here against a struggling Adelaide United, albeit might be a chance for us here to make it 4-0 with a corner, which we take short. Lobo tries to fizz that one into Jello on a hat-trick, can't find him. We are back on the attack here. Sinclair, who's had a great game off the bench in this one. We go back out to Lobo, also on a yellow card, is our left back today. Plays that one in for Pascali. Gauchi gets beaten again. He's looking a bit average this time, which is quite ironic, having just signed for Aston Villa in real life, but that makes it 4-0. game well and truly over, and thankfully going to bounce back from that 2-1 defeat at the Melbourne Victory with a win here these days. 4-0 Lobo will pick up an assist Pascali. Don't think that shot took a deflection, but it beats Gauchi, and we make it 4-0. And in a couple of minutes on from that fourth goal, it's Gauchi here with a goal kick. He's not had a good day at the office here. Here's the new Aston Villa signing. In real life at that time, picks out someone right on the centre circle. They try and switch that one down their right-hand side, but good work there from Pascali. And we win the ball back here and might even get a chance to make it 5-0. Mitchell, these days, also on a yellow card alongside Nathan Lobo, plays that to his centre-back partner in Nunes. Pascali, the goal scorer. Somehow that one finds a way through to Jack Henry Sinclair. Might get a chance here to set up another. He kind of does. It's an own goal. Thought that one might fall to Toomey there, but in the end, it's Popovic, who's not had a very good day at the office the first time. Can't really blame him. He tried to clear one for that first goal we scored. A teammate got in the way, but that time, Toomey tries to put that one home, takes a big old deflection off of Popovic, and finds its way into the back of the net for an own goal, and that should wrap this one up. We make our way into 2 minutes of added time, but Adelaide United not very good in the save, it is fair to say. As you can see there, that ended up being a very comfortable 5-0 win for us, even though it was still quite close at half-time at 1-0, but to be fair, don't think we saw a single highlight where Adelaide United were on the attack. In the second half, we score goals through Jello, Sinclair, Pascali, and of course that late own goal through Popovic to add to that first half goal through Jello, which was very much gifted to us. A couple of Adelaide United players out there with some pretty poor ratings compared to our guys in the AFC Auckland squad today. Jack Henry Sinclair off the bench picks up the man of the match, but thankfully back on track with a 5-0 win over Adelaide at Mount Smart. So thankfully we bounced back from that defeat to the Melbourne Victory there with a nice 5-0 win over a struggling Adelaide United. Those guys still just outside of the relegation playoff zone. Below them, Newcastle, Jets, Sydney Olympic, Melbourne City and South Melbourne. Didn't expect to see Melbourne City there, but with their new manager, they've been really struggling this season. They're a long way from safety. Melbourne City might be the first big name who do drop out of the A-League in this save. And also, that win over Adelaide did mean we closed the gap on the Mariners on top of the table, albeit not overall based on where we started off today's episode, but these days only 2 points behind them off back of Perth Glory, taking some points off them at home as well. So that's a good result there for us, thanks to the Perth Glory. And in behind us, the Melbourne Victory picked up a 2-1 win to keep only 4 points behind us in that third spot. And the Western Sydney Wanderers, they bet City to stay in fourth spot. So those teams just around us at the moment are the ones that we are struggling against in this save. But to be fair, we're doing well enough to stay in second spot and certainly still in a title fight just past the halfway point of the season. Before we wrap things up for today's episode as well, we have got a transfer coming through come the start of next season, because there was a bit of interest in one of the youngsters that we did give a debut to in the All Whites a little while ago. Let's try and find him here on our transfer tab. And this is the man that we're signing, Nathan Palmer. Of course, we gave him an international cap a couple of windows ago. I think it was against Oman, where we nearly blew a 5-0 lead. In the end, it was 5-4. Palmer didn't have the greatest debut, but obviously, seeing as we picked him for the national team, must be a player with a lot of potential. He'll join us in June 2025. Lots of A-League clubs are after him, so thankfully, we've got his services over those foreign clubs, because it was all the Australian clubs who we're trying to sign. So thankfully, Nathan Palmer will join us here at AFC Auckland for the third season of the save. It will be interesting to see how much potential he has compared to the rest of our squad. But that will do it for today's episode. Hopefully wasn't too rusty with the voice in the first one back from a holiday. If you enjoyed it, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. Now, coming up, to be fair, quite a few games in a row that should be quite easy, or we don't care too much about the Australian League Cup against Perth Glory. That's probably our toughest match in the month of December, but the League Cup, the board, don't really care about too much. They just want us to be competitive. Last season, we lost to Avondale, and they were quite happy with that. So I don't think the League Cup is of much importance to us, especially while we're still taking part in the Australian Cup, and we should get past Hume City in the 5th round of that competition. In the A-League, we take on the 3 teams who came up from the 2nd tier for this season. We bet them all fairly comfortably in the first half of the season. You'd like to think we can do that again to kick off the second half of this A-League season. So I think we'll come back at some stage in January. Probably going to come back for the Western Sydney Wanderers. I know we take them on a lot, but they're a team that we can struggle against, especially that 3-0 loss earlier this season. Want to get some revenge back at Mount Smart. Around then, we should also have our youth intake as well, and we'll see if maybe an Australian Cup game comes up in and around that. So we'll definitely come back for the Wanderers and a youth intake for tomorrow's episode. Don't think we want to go any further than that, but we should get through a fair chunk of games in between now and then that do look very winnable. So until then, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.